Hi, everyone. So happy that you've joined in today on our LinkedIn Live, the Mission Beyond LinkedIn Live, where we explore how amazing everyday individuals from around the world are really approaching life with great purpose and having tremendous impact. I'm joined today by three sensational guests, such a diverse group of individuals with some amazing experiences. First of all, Mirek Hazer. You can see him waving, and he's going to be introducing himself. He is, for those of you who might be guessing where we all are, is in an Austrian lodge. So hence the very special beams there that you can see. The lovely Angele Murze, who's not in an Austrian lodge. She'll tell you exactly where she is joining us from in India. And then the amazing Danny Attias. He and I are both in London, different parts of London, as we talk today about purpose and impact. So let's kick off and ask each of our amazing guests to share a little bit about themselves. I'm going to start with you, Mirek, to give people a sense of why you're on this LinkedIn Live and a little bit about you.
Thank you, Harriet. Well, my story might sound a little bit as a movie cliche, but I'll unfold it for you. So I come from the Czech Republic, from very small village. I lost one of my parents early on. And then at the age of 15, out of the blue, I decided to go to Prague, to our capital, and study modern dance and ballet. But after a few years, I had to stop dancing because of health problems. I found out that I am gay, and I found out a joy in a profession that we can call public relations. I had the privilege to work for a few really purpose-driven organizations. The last one for the last decade was IBM. That's also where I met the wonderful Harriet. And for the very past 1 year, I studied full-time public policy at the United Nations University, and I'll touch on it a little bit more later on as well. So thank you.
Wonderful. I don't know how someone so young can have packed so much in, but everything Mirek says is completely true. And now to the wonderful Angele Murze. Angela, tell us a little bit about you and where you're from.
Thank you, Harriet. And I'm very honored to be on the same platform with you. I've dialed in from Pune, India. And to talk about what I've done, I've had 22 years of being an IT professional, worked with some of the best brands and the largest teams in Citel, EDS, Mphasis, and IBM. I decided to take a career break. And during the 6 months, however, tragedy struck home. Priorities had to be reestablished. Purpose had to be redefined. And after some deep reflections, I'm now pursuing my passion of coaching with a holistic view to bring out the best in people and help them to find their own purpose in life.
Thank you, Angela. And I have to say, you're one of the most customer focused. I thought I was customer focused. You've interacted and supported more customers than most, but one of the most customer focused individuals I've ever met. And thank you for joining us today on our LinkedIn Live. We've had a bumper joining as we start. So you are in the Mission Beyond Purpose-led LinkedIn Live with myself, having introduced the wonderful Mirek and Angela, and now to Danny Attius, who actually has recently been awarded the top IT or CTO, CIO in the UK. So tell us a bit about you, Danny.
Thank you, Harriet. That's very kind of you, and thank you very much for involving me in this. As you say, I'm a CIO. I work for Anthony Nolan. We're a blood cancer charity and the world's first stem cell register, and that's a pretty exciting place to be for the last 5 years when when you get to see letters from people who have had their lives saved, or who have been part of helping save someone else's life, or someone else's family, it's quite exciting. It's quite inspirational to be part of something that is so purpose-driven. I myself have always worked in the technology sector. I grew up in the UK, a very comfortable and privileged background. But my parents are from North Africa, and have travelled across the world and had to start up in various different countries. So I'm very grateful for the privilege that I do have, and I try and be the best ally that I can be.
Fantastic. I can vouch for that allyship. And what many of you have asked me about is kind of, what is your purpose? And have you found it in work or life generally? And so we're going to ask our amazing guests to talk about how you, what your purpose is, how it came about, a little bit about connecting this, for many, elusive sort of concept. So I think we're going to dive in with Mirek. We might interrupt each other or ask more. And Mirek, you always describe yourself as a thinker and a doer, and I can vouch for both. Did you spend lots of time thinking about your purpose? Did you find it some other way? Tell us a bit about, have you found yours, and what is it?
Yeah, thank you. So I think I'm on the journey to really understand my purpose. And in here, actually, my name plays a little bit role. So my full name is Miroslav, kind of like typical Slavic name, meaning loving peace. And I do not like conflicts. I prefer when people understand each other. They don't need to agree, but at least understand. And throughout the years and the different works I had, I kind of like started seeing that perhaps my purpose is to build the bridges between people, organizations, or disciplines. And so I think and feel that this is actually become my purpose, to build the bridges between us.
And I can absolutely vouch for Mirek in working with me, someone who seems to create a lot of excitement or tension or sometimes even conflict, that Mirek was superb, but always seeing things from other people's point of view and trying to find a point of understanding. So I think that's very, very crisp. And you, Angele, as you've said, you've had a really, really tough COVID. Life for a time was pretty brutal across India, Pune in particular. But tell us about how you have found your purpose in life and work, and what it is.
Okay, so I'm going to pick up from where Mirek said, right? If you look at my name, if you take off the A from Angela, it becomes Angel. So you find the angels coming about, when everybody goes to sleep. But having said that, I'm going to flash back 20 years. My purpose was all about me. I wanted to have a loving family, complete my doctorate, work for the top brands, own a house that I can call home, and be a leader who stood for my people. And very proudly, when I look back, I think I've achieved all of my purposes. But not satisfied. Fast forward 20 years, my purpose now is different. It's all about what I can do for others. We were all in a rat race 18 months ago, and there was suddenly a loud pause button. We were forced to stop, think, reflect, and build new perspectives. My purpose now is to be a catalyst, to help people around me grow, build a better society, keeping in mind my key principles, which have not changed from the beginning. Dignity for every human being, respect for different points of view, and accountability for one's action. If you ask me, how did I come about it? I think at some point of life, we all become self-centered. But when we have to let go, it is important to do so. And today, the world needs more of us than anything else. So I think I have been able to do justice for myself, and I'm happy now to look at what and how I can make the world a better place to live in.
Fantastic. Angela, thank you. And so much reflection after such a tough sort of 12 months. And Danny, your sense of what your purpose is. We're on the LinkedIn Live Mission Beyond What is Purpose and Impact call. So tell us, I mean, it's not usual for CIOs or CTOs to be at the center of it's not unusual perhaps, but it's not the norm to be so purpose-centered. What is yours?
I wish I knew. I wish I knew what it is. It, like Mirek says, it's just a journey, and it's just uncovering layers. At its core, it's about being a good citizen of the world. It's about being right for other people and fair and equitable. And it's about trying to minimize your own impact on consumption and on the things around you. So I've spent the last 20 years trying to reduce my carbon footprint by what I eat or what I consume or what I do, and then sharing that knowledge and trying to be an example of those things. And then over time, as I start to uncover more inequalities and issues, I just think, how can I help that? And the one thing that I really enjoy is not just change and transformation, but it's also networking and putting people together and making relationships. So I do that a lot through my technology network, and more recently, I've just recently launched a podcast in the last couple of months, which is just about bringing people who have got some real social purpose, who are fundamentally making a difference, and giving them that platform to share their story and their journey. And that felt, combination of that networking and connecting people and sharing stories just felt like it's a really good place where I can kind of use the network that I have and lift people up to share their stories. And I continue to explore and find more things to get involved in and more opportunities to make a difference.
That's wonderful. And I think that as we think about, our journeys, I'm always struck, and Danny, tomorrow you and I are talking about this in more detail on your wonderful podcast series. But the sort of journey it is, as Mirek said, on a journey, as Angela said, you find yourself at different points in your life where you have a voice, and it's so critical to use it. But how many people have asked me, so if I don't know what my purpose is and I can't kind of work it out, and I'm not finding it at the water cooler or in talking to other people, how did you find this sort of sense of where you can have the greatest impact? I think that is a question that many people who haven't found it yet are kind of struggling with. And so love to get thoughts. I won't go individually. I'd like you to sort of jump in as we combine it with advice, So how have you found your purpose? That's a big question. And what is your advice to people as we, share or be the very best versions of ourselves that we can be? Please, Angela, go ahead.
Okay, so I think it is important. It's not that we don't have a purpose. Purpose is very unique to every individual, like happiness is unique to everyone. So when we talk about purpose, it's about setting priorities and getting it right. So to me, making an impact and finding the purpose is being genuine and real. communicating what you have to and doing what you need to do. No
So,
two ways
so
about it.
Angela, just to ask there, sorry to interrupt you, but we're getting lots of questions on this. Someone asked, and it's very relevant here. Can we only sort of do that after we achieve our goals? And you sort of talked a bit about timing, but the questions that are coming up are around, do we have to wait till we've built our family? Don't you think that now is absolutely the time to sort of serve? So I throw that in because the questions are coming thick and fast.
Okay. So let me reiterate, right? 20 years ago, there were no podcast. There was no LinkedIn Live. It was all about me, myself, reading books and being there. What has changed is about running a parallel balance. Today, we talk about a balance between what we want to do for ourselves and what we want to do for others. So while I may be the lucky one to have achieved what I had to achieve before getting on to do what I want to do for others, it is very important to have a family support, have societal support. So it's not about you, it's about building a community to get there so that you can run in parallel to have your purposes achieved.
Yeah.
Personal purposes, purposes of work, purposes at life, purposes at community.
Yeah.
I hope that answers the question.
Any other thoughts, Mirek or Danny?
Yeah, so similar as Angela, like you don't need to wait for anything. I think in my case, like 10 years ago when I started with my LGBT plus volunteering activity, so building the bridges between the community and the rest, I start sensing the purpose. But I think it was really like 1 or 2 years ago when I realized and was able to put the fancy label, building bridges on the purpose. So similar as Angela said, like the timing is kind of like important, but you don't need to wait for anything. You don't need to have a fancy label for your purpose. It's about your feeling and knowing that you know why you do the certain things you do.
Well, that's really interesting, Mirek, because some of the questions that we're getting live are, can you do this in sort of small steps and small ways as well as on a big scale, Danny? What do you think?
100%. I think if you sit around and you wait to define this enormous purpose, you're going to be waiting for a very long time. And someone recently said to me, one way to help you find your purpose is to think about what makes you really angry, what makes you really absolutely fuming. That's the thing you want to go after. That's the thing that you want to make a difference about. And I've reflected on that. And for me, it's inequality. You know, the thing that really, whether it's inequality of animals over humans or people of different races or different backgrounds or sexuality or gender, those are the areas that really, when I hear about those inequalities, they make me angry. And those are the things I want to focus on. But the other thing I'll mention is the Japanese concept of Ikigai, which I just think is so important. And for those who don't know, it's a bringing together of four things. It's something that you're good at. It's something that you can be paid for, and I think that's really important as well, because otherwise you're making an exclusive thing that only people who can afford to do something about it. It's something that you love and something that the world needs. And if you can bring those four things together, you've got a kind of purpose-driven action happening all the time. And I came across that probably about 10 years ago, and it really resonated with me. If you can get even that job that helps you channel the things that you're good at, the things that you love, then the purpose can get delivered, the income can come in to sustain you and your family. And then that really just so magically brings everything together.
I love that, Danny. I particularly love what makes you really angry, in the sense that, you know, for me, social inequality, young people, which is why we started the Open Doors platform, who don't have the connections, don't have the confidence, being advanced through the sort of ecosystem into work. So I think that's a great way to think about it. And we've also had questions here about surely the time now is greater than it's ever been. What are your thoughts as we come through this vortex of change? We've got technology change, we've got climate change, we've got obviously the health pandemic, and we've got the need for deep inclusion. We'll go once around the table and get your sort of views about timing and advice as we sort of close out. So let's start with Mirek. What's your advice, and what do you think about the time is now?
The time is definitely now. But in my case, actually, I took 1 year off to study full time because for my purpose, I felt that there is something I want to understand more. So don't think that for the purpose, it's only about the action right now. It might be also kind of like your preparation for actions coming in the future. And also don't forget that your purpose can be also channeled by working or contributing to a purpose of an organization, not only of you as an individual.
That's brilliant, Mirek. Really, really good. Danny, what's your sort of sense of advice and timing, which has been the major theme? People joining today saying, it's now. If not us, then who? If not now, then when?
I think, the pandemic has accelerated everything. Everything that was in decline is declined faster, and everything that was in the increase has increased faster. And it helps crystallize the direction of travel that the world is going in. So I think that the time now is to really pounce on those things. I suppose my advice really related to something Mirek said right at the beginning when you said you don't like conflict. People don't have to agree with each other, but they have to understand each other. That's the missing piece. We've got this, and here we are on a social platform, but we've got this polarization that's being forced through by social media with I agree or I disagree, rather than that's interesting. We don't have the same viewpoint. Tell me more. Why is it that you don't agree? That's where we need to be putting our energy, because then we can start working closer together and working against the things that are really the problem, like climate change and all of these inequities across the world.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the point about the freedom to speak factually with a point to understand, not just to hear one's rhetoricized response is most wise. And Angela, your advice and thoughts on the world in which we live right now, and how all of us can do something that helps each other.
So it has made me think post-pandemic, and my advice to everyone is we have to be vigilant, but we need to take a risk. And I would advocate the 7 C's. The 7 C's which have been very close to my heart. First, core values. Everybody has to have key. If you do not have core values, then you are lost in finding a purpose, because core values are key to your purpose and identity. Second, commitment. If you start something, aim to finish it. Communication. Always be clear and concise. Courage. Have the courage to stand up even if you're alone. Caring. Make people feel special. No matter with the smallest thing of just saying a thank you or a please or a sorry. It matters. Calmness. When you are calm, your mind has clarity of thought. And finally, competent. Know that you alone know your strength, and never allow anyone else to put you down. And with that, I would end with Robert Schuller's words. Tough times do not last, but tough people do.
Well, Angela, who's also running for Prime Minister of India, I think, with that, most welcome inputs and advice. Thank you for that. To all of you who've joined us today, a lot of people with a lot of great questions. And my advice, as you know, distilled from this wonderful group of individuals from very different backgrounds, I think that this sense of what is it you value, what is it that makes you angry, what is it that you think in small, medium, or large ways you can go out from here and drive change. And the world will only move forward if it's innovation-led growth and purpose and impact-led change. So whether you identify with Mirek and his advice, with Danny and his, with Angela and hers, I thank you for joining us. We'll be sharing this recording. It's been live and hence the questions we've had, but we'll always share them afterwards and get your wisdom and advice as well. So a big thank you to the most amazing and humble guests and to all of you who joined our Mission Beyond LinkedIn Live. Thank you.